The Daily Exchange! We're back here, guys, with Jiangshan. We're talking all about blockchain security, 51% attacks, and his new repucoin.
Thank you, Fred. It's really good to see you here, and nice to be here.
See you guys right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. We're here with Jiangshan, the man himself. Now, it is actually Dr. Jiangshan Yu, just to get this, cybersecurity expert at Monash University. Everyone, you can follow Jiangshan at Jiangshan Yu on Twitter. That's the best place to go?
Well, yes. I have a Twitter account, but it's pretty inactive.
That's right.
I promise that I'm going to work more on that.
We'll work on some tweets. Now, you've done some incredible work around cybersecurity, some research on the actual, not only do you obviously done a lot on the blockchains and the security of them, you've done some unpacking of privacy coins. I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
Now, you're also a lecturer at Melbourne prestigious university Monash on cybersecurity and systems, and you're now opening up a new unit. Tell us about the new unit that you're opening.
So Monash has a strategy to invest in the blockchain technology, and we are going to open up a new unit on blockchain. So it's going to be an introductory course on blockchain systems, and in the unit we are going to cover all the aspects from consensus, how Bitcoin works, how proof of stake works, to the network level and to the privacy and crypto. So everything would be covered in the same unit for this time. And this is going to be the first unit on blockchain at Monash.
Okay. Now, you've stirred a bit of controversy, I might say, with you and your team. You've exposed some crypto note protocol vulnerabilities, you might say, with Monero. Yes. Let's talk about that in a bit. We're going to come up to that, guys. And also some with Bitcoin and digital note transactions, which are very interesting. You've also got your new coin, repucoin. We're going to talk a bit about that. But I want to start by talking about blockchain security. Now, we've seen some 51% attacks this year. We've seen Ethereum Classic getting compromised, a double spend attack for $1.1 million.
In January.
Joel, if you want to bring up that, we've got a little montage here of the Ethereum Classic attack. After that attack, we had Cointelegraph writing about proof of work coins, and Forbes asked if it was possible Bitcoin could be attacked in the same way.
That's really a good question because as a security researcher, I would say that there is no system that is absolutely secure. So that means any system can be attacked in this way or the other. In terms of Bitcoin security, well, if we are only focusing on, let's say, 51% attacks, as in your question, whether we can attack the system in the same way, well, first of all, let's understand what is the security of Bitcoin in terms of the 51% attacks,
okay.
right?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what do you think, not only 51% attacks, let's just broaden this out, because you're a security expert. Let's look at just blockchains. What are the current issues with security with the blockchains in your mind?
So there are several things. So the first one is absolutely the 51% attack, because it's not that difficult to actually gain a majority of mining power in blockchains. And the second thing I would say is the centralization of the mining power in the system, because when we are talking about blockchains, the distributed ledger technology, we are saying that everything will be distributed and no single party or oligopoly of party can control the entire blockchain, right? But it's not the case if there is a centralization of the mining power. So that's the second problem, I would say. And the third problem I can see is the key management. Namely, how can users have their mind, like a security researcher, how can they handle all the keys and different accounts with the blockchain? For example, if you are taking the easiest solution, give your account to an account manager at the stock stock market, like let's say the exchange, then they have your password, they have your private keys to spend those coins.
Yes.
And if they somehow they died, either
They'll take your
genuinely
coins.
or in a fake way, well, you are screwed. All your money are controlled by another person. It's like you give your wallet to someone else, saying that help me to protect it because I don't know how. So that's one of the main issues I would say in the usability.
So 51% attacks,
Yes,
sort of, I guess, centralization of mining power,
exactly.
and I guess the
Key management.
key management and the kind of user challenges with that.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about now. Let's maybe drill in a little bit. What do you think in terms of there was this recent hack on Binance, and there was a proposal that potentially the Bitcoin, 7,000 Bitcoin was stolen, and potentially Binance was going to try and roll back Bitcoin. In other words, potentially collude with miners or pay miners or whatever it may be. I'm interested in your view. Do you think that's possible?
That's definitely possible, and I think it has happened once when there was a massive attack.
Yes.
Then they have to roll back to secure it. So I'm not quite sure how to see this thing as a solution, because essentially it means that a small group of people can control how Bitcoin goes, which is really against the actual concept of Bitcoin. But on the other side, it also secures Bitcoin in the way that when something goes wrong, there is a party who can come out and say that let's redo it. But then this is really against the actual concept of Bitcoin. So I think that we need more research on how to actually make it more secure, and when we have a problem, how to do that to tolerate such attacks.
Okay. What do you think the biggest challenge right now with proof of work blockchains are?
So the largest challenge, I would say, is the mining power centralization. Namely, you can use some ways to gain a lot of mining power and to have more than 50% of mining power within a single system. And that has been the largest threat on the security of most of the proof of work based blockchains. I'm not sure if we can show up the
let's bring
table.
up this. We've got a proof of work, 51% attack cost. It's crypto51.app is the source of the website we're looking at here. And if we bring this up, Joel, for everyone watching as well, we can see here, what are we seeing here, Jiangshan? What's going on?
Essentially, this is a website that gives you a summary of a list of different coins, such that they are using proof of work, for example, and then they make one of the marketplace for blockchain mining as an example. Here is the niche hash. So they are saying that there is a place where it's like eBay for mining power.
Right.
You can
Rent
you
mining.
can rent or sell your mining power there. Then you can rent your mining power to do minings on a special blockchain. And here it shows that from that marketplace, you can actually rent a certain percent of mining power of some of the cryptocurrencies. And for some of them, you can only rent, let's say, a few percent of the mining power. But
Like Bitcoin's 0%
Yes.
there, Ethereum at 5%, Litecoin 3%. But you've got some standouts here with Ethereum Classic at 83% could be nice hashable.
yes, so that's
Bitcoin at 86%. Oh, you've got Bitcoin Gold at 95%.
Well-
Do you think Bitcoin Gold is vulnerable to an attack?
Well, I would say from the code figure, it says yes. Yeah, and if you just scroll down a bit, you even see that thousands of times, of the mining power you can get from the marketplace. So essentially, that means if you are a hacker, if you know how, and you got this weapon here, well, it's all yours.
Wow. So, we've got another one here, Z Classic at 181%. Some of these are in 1,000% rentable. Like you could, wow, it's serious stuff. So, when it comes down to it, some of these blockchains are vulnerable. Bitcoin seems to be very, quite solid in by your account as well from a security perspective,
definitely.
apart from, obviously these mining pools are coming together.
Yes.
What's your view of these mining pools colluding these days? Is that centralization of mining?
Well, that is definitely a centralization of mining. So currently, I think last time when I checked the figure on the mining power distribution of Bitcoin, it shows that roughly 20 pools control 100% of the mining power in Bitcoin. And probably 3-4 mining pools would already control more than 50% of mining power of Bitcoin. Well, let's considering if Bitcoin is going to be the cryptocurrency for the world in terms of trading. You are going to buy coffee, get your Mercedes, and so on. Then rather than trusting the banks of each country that has been well regulated, you are trusting a few mining pools in the world to behave correctly. I mean, I'm not saying that they will do things incorrectly, but there is a risk that they have been hacked or they are forced to do something wrong. They may not want to, but there is no choice left for them. Maybe it could happen. Yeah. So I would say that from pure, the theoretical security analysis point of view, there is a vulnerability and there is a chance that it would go wrong.
What about proof of work versus proof of stake? Do you think proof of stake is more secure?
That's a very good question. So in fact, I was invited to give a talk recently in a blockchain center on the security of the blockchain. And then people are saying that, no, proof of work is much better. Why? Because for proof of work, you need to do work. You need to do the actual work. You have, all the mining centers, large machines out there. You can hardly to control, all of them as a nation. But for proof of stake, if we are talking about deposit-based or balance-based, namely, you have a large amount of money, then you control the system. So it's much easier to launch attacks from a national level agency to attack those if they have those amount of money, because they can attack the system within a short time frame. But to me, they are more or less similar. Why? If you have lots of money as an organization, you probably could have the mining farms built up within a few months. And then probably you could set up a mining pool and attract all the users to join you with a better reward to the joiners. So if you have money, probably you could do most of the attacks you want to have. So it's really difficult to say which one would be better. But I think proof of stake is more generic because it depends on what you put on the stake. If this is something you put on the stake that requires time to gain and hard to control the majority of all the stakes, then it might be more secure. Actually, repucoin, which we are going to talk about later, shares some concepts and principles there. You can kind of consider it as a variant of proof of stake, but with the proof of work on the lower level.
Okay. Now let's talk about your work on privacy coins. We'll come to repucoin in a sec as well, because I think but it's important. I think you've done some extensive testing and security on, I guess, security and anonymity. I always find that word hard to say, of coins, particularly with the crypto note protocol, which Monero currently uses. Now, Joel, if you can bring up this article. Finder's actually written an article, Can Monero Ever Achieve Private Transactions? Based on some of the deep dive. We looked at some of the research that you've written, and check that article out, guys. It's sort of a summary as well of what Jiangshan has done. Check it out. From the research, what have you learned about privacy coins?
Well, what I learned is that it's really difficult to make it actually secure and private. And it requires a lot of effort of different research teams to actually look into the existing implementations and the existing designs to evaluate and guarantee the security and privacy of those coins.
Okay.
And I think because of the money being involved, there are lots of teams that are in a hurry to jump into this market and to make some claims from their smart designs without considering, the actual research and the actual security guarantee of those coins.
So I got to ask you, Jiangshan, do you think privacy coins are actually private?
I didn't look into all the privacy coins, but I think for the ones I did look into, there are problems, and it definitely requires a bit more effort, with the academia research outcome to support the work there. But so far, probably there are still some bugs out there.
Okay. Now, what did your research actually work out? Like, what did you do? What did you uncover?
So I was mainly working with my team on the crypto node style protocols, as you mentioned.
Yep.
So probably I should give a bit of background first. So with crypto node protocols, so we have something called linkable ring signature, which is a crypto algorithm that guarantees some privacy. That has probably 10 years of the research already. So the basic concept is that you can make signatures. It's like the handwritten signature saying that this thing is from me. But the ring signature shows that, well, there is a set of people sitting together, and from an outside point of view, you know that this is one of them, one of the people signed the document, but you don't know which one. And linkable ring signature essentially makes it more suitable for blockchain. Namely, if you do double spending, then you will be detected. If you sign twice, then we can detect. So the problem here is that even assuming the linkable ring signature, our ring CT used in Monero, is perfectly secure. The crypto algorithm itself is secure. But the way you choose the members in that ring around the table, if you don't do that carefully, then you have problems. So let me give you a very simple example.
Yes.
Considering a ring has 3 members only, so ABC, right? So if there are 4 rings, let's say the first one is ABC, the second one is ABC as well, the third one is also ABC, then the fourth one suddenly is ABD. And we know each A represents a coin. And if a coin can only be spent once, right? So if there are 3 transactions and 3 unique coins have been involved in that ring, then we know that all the coins will be spent in the 3 transactions. Because you need 3 coins, and there are only 3 coins available. Then in the fourth transaction, we know that ABC cannot be, any A or B or C cannot be the real coin being spent in the fourth one. So D must be the real coin being spent there, because you eliminate the possibility of other coins being spent. This is only a very simple example. There are many different cases, and in our research, basically we are trying to map this problem in the graph theory and to get all the possible cases analyzed. Then through our analysis, we found that since currently they choose the mix-ins in different algorithms,
Yes.
and they are all kinds of vulnerable to this kind of analysis. And we show that there are at least 70% of the coins can be identified as real spent in the transactions.
Right. So 70% of transactions with Monero, you can potentially figure out where they've come from and where the coins are.
It's not potentially. We know that for sure. So
Wow.
we know that this is definitely the coin being spent in this transaction. But I would say that currently the situation is much, much better because they are trying to improve the system a bit.
Right.
So they are improving it gradually thanks to all the research works. And if they see there is a bug, they will try to patch it to make the system better. Yeah.
In terms of other coins, are there any others that you suspect might not be as secure?
So
Well, I guess de-anonymized. You can de-anonymize them.
right. I didn't look into all the existing coins,
Yeah.
but from what I observed, most of the coins share the same principle. They simply take the same design, make a bit of different designs and some novelties in their own system. But I would say if they share the same design, let's say the crypto node system, for example, then they would have the same problem.
Okay. Do you think there are any really good security coins out there in terms of, I guess, de-anonymized transactions?
So I think one of the coin is called Zcash, which I did,
Zcash,
yes,
okay.
which I didn't really dig into the actual security guarantee of it, but I do know that it is based on a well-studied crypto techniques. So probably that's better in terms of the guarantee, but I did not dig into the actual implementation of the system.
Okay.
But I did see a recent manuscript released by a bunch of researchers like Sarah Mikojon from UCL analyzing the privacy of Zcash. And it seems that they also found something, vulnerabilities in Zcash from the network level of the analysis. But I didn't read through the paper entirely. But I think there are still something that can be improved.
Okay, brilliant. And these coins are improving. Now, in terms of improvement, but you've taken the proactive action, taken the next step, and you've put this new repucoin together, REPU coin together. Tell us about repucoin. What is repucoin?
Well, repucoin is a new design of the blockchain. So it's more on the way we do consensus. So repucoin aims to address the problem that you can get a lot of mining power in a very short time period, then do the 51% attack, which is the largest threat to all the proof of work based blockchains. So we are aiming to address this problem. And we also adapted several optimizations on the design for the scalability, so we can also achieve a very high throughput in the system.
10,000 transactions per second.
Yes, from our simulation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's got this new. Tell us about what makes it, your proof of work design so much more secure.
So we use proof of work, but we are not going to make it proof of work as the way to vote for the next block. That's not what we are going to do. So with Bitcoin, let's say, what Bitcoin does is that there is a mining pool or a miner who is working on some crypto puzzles, and when the puzzle has been solved, then this is a block that will be appended into the blockchain.
Yes.
And that means each block is a vote, and the one with more votes is the longest chain that will be selected by the system. And the problem here is that if you have a lot of mining power, then you have lots of votes in the system, even though you may just be in the system for a day, and you can already do something bad on the system with 51% of the mining power. So that's the thing we want to address. And the way we do is that we have proof of work, but each block now is not a weight or is not a vote for the system. So what we do is that we consider your contribution to the system. So each block you created is a share of your contribution to the system. We consider all your contributions, all the blocks you created throughout the lifetime of the system. So from the first day the repucoin has been launched, how many blocks have you ever generated, and how regularly have you generated those blocks?
Right.
Whether you generate every 2 blocks every day, or whether you generated lots of blocks only recently but not previously.
Okay.
And we consider all those things into the reputation function and do some calculations on how trustworthy you are,
Right.
how much contribution you have in the system.
So Jiangshan, what I'm hearing is it's about your reputation as a miner on the repucoin blockchain. Now you've got a quote here, if I can, when you've said, when repucoin has operated for a year, attacking the system with 68% of its total mining power would take at least 6 months to do and would be at least 5,760 times as expensive as conducting the same attack on Bitcoin. So you can't just, like you said, switch on a whole lot of miners and take over repucoin. You could potentially do that with Bitcoin, is what you're saying. And then you've also suggested, I guess, with this this reputation, this consensus group. Tell us about a reputation consensus group. What does that mean?
So rather than anyone can do the consensus to put transactions into the blockchain, we have a selection of people, and the selection of people is what we call the consensus group, and which is a subset of the entire participants in the system. So what we do is that, let's say if there are 100% of reputation in the system as a whole, so all the contributions in the system before, we take, let's say, 95% of all the contributions in the system that have been made before as a consensus group, and they can make a decision altogether to vote on which transaction should be included in the blockchain.
Does that sounds a little bit like centralization, but is centralization a problem with repucoin?
So it does sound like a centralization, but if you consider it's all percentage, let's say if there are 100,000 nodes in the system, and if 90,000 nodes altogether can have 95% of the reputation in the system, then it's 95,000 of nodes in the system to do the voting. So in this case, it's not going to be a centralization. But if we consider the current mining power distribution of Bitcoin, that's, let's say, 25 pools only in the system, they control the entire Bitcoin, then 95% of the reputation in the system might be 20 pools or 25 pools. So that would be a centralization. So we are not going to solve the problem of how to have a truly decentralized mining method in the system. But if there is a solution, then that will be a plug-in to our system.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about applications for repucoin. It's an open source technology currently, and it's been, as I said, it's been operating now for a year, I believe. Is that right?
So we are not releasing the code yet because we think that the implementation is not ready, because we only have a few people working on the deployment, and there might be bugs in the implementation. So we want to be serious and to release a version that is properly evaluated. So that's why we are not open source it yet. But in terms of the potential applications of repucoin, I would say, repucoin can be considered as an extra layer of security of the existing proof of work blockchains.
So do you think Bitcoin could, implement repucoin?
For sure, definitely, yes. Yeah, because the bottom layer of the design of repucoin is the proof of work. Then we add up another layer on the top on how you do the consensus, how you secure the blockchain. So blockchain can, all the blockchains with proof of work can take repucoin as a plug-in, right? Just additional layer on the top. Then that's the application. So you just put a layer in the middle and it's done.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can do that.
And is that the main application you see of repucoin?
I would not say the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in particular would be a main application. So currently, there are several projects under discussion. So one of them is on the energy. For example, if you have microgrid and users can generate their own electricity from the roof, the solar panel, then probably you could do some tradings, and that's one area that blockchain can be useful. And repucoin could be a good support there, and other things like digital health and so on, like healthcare system. So basically, for all the possibilities that you can think of with the blockchain as a real support and a real enabler, then repucoin can be made use of it in the same way.
When will repucoin be available to the public, I guess, to use?
So it really depends on how fast the development can be. So currently, there is only a few PhD students working with me on the development of the repucoin, and we also need to do other parts of research there. Yeah. So I can see that we will have a toy implementation, which is more proper by the end of the year. But to make it as a full implementation for enterprise use, that requires a team effort, that requires more proper developers, like 100% full-time developers being involved to help us to design the repucoin, to do all the implementations. So that would take some time and also require some support from universities and the industry to make it happen. We are currently discussing the possibilities of forming a team to do the development with different partners. Yeah.
Now, in terms of repucoin, how can people get involved with repucoin? How can they help?
Well, drop me an email.
Okay.
So there are many different ways. So you could either provide support. Let's say if you want to join the project, I can open up a Git project. Then people can start up to help us to do the development, or to help us to do the quality control of the code by reviewing each line of the code to see whether it's secure, whether there are bugs, because there might be things that we are overlooked, because there would be quite lengthy in terms of the number of lines of the code. So that's, if you are a good programmer, that's something that we will be very happy to have you being involved. You are very welcome, to join us. And if you want
where can they go, Jiangshan? Where can they go? Is there a website for this to go and contact you?
Yes. So if you just go to my homepage, which is www.jiangshanyu, which is my full name, .com.
Check it out, guys. We've got the link below in the description as well. Check it out. Sorry, Jiangshan, I interrupted you, but I think it's important everyone can check this site out, get involved. Was there anything else? So we need developers, industry opportunities to get involved with you as well. Is there anything else you're looking for?
So basically, we are also looking for collaborations, not only from the industrial partners and developers, but also academia as well, because I do think that blockchain is an ecosystem. It's not a single thing. Like if you are working on distributed systems, that's it. No, it's not. We have several layers. Like we need to consider the network, we need to consider the implementation, we consider the consensus, the data structure, the top layer applications, smart contracts, and other scenarios, regulations. All those things would help us to make repucoin realistic and being a useful application, to the society. So really, if you are interested in blockchain, and no matter what your background is, that would be really helpful for having a discussion, because definitely in that ecosystem we need everyone's expertise in the loop. Because I'm not going to understand everything just by myself or a single team. So if you or your team is also working on blockchain, so I'm very happy to have collaborations with you to either do research project, or we discuss your project. We could help you to secure your version of the blockchain, or to combine different projects to have a big strong thing that can be really beneficial to the Australian society or to the global ecosystem.
Brilliant. Now, I know I was at EdCon here in Australia. I heard a lot about they have a lot of researchers there at Ethereum. So do reach out. These guys are some of the best researchers. They can help out with your project. There's a lot of collaboration, guys. Reach out to Jiangshan. He's the guy. He is the guy who's kind of unpacked Monero. Just watch out for that. No, but they are fixing it up. But if you want to know, if you do want to work with some great research team, guys, reach out to Jiangshan right now. He's the man. Thank you so much, Jiangshan, for coming on the show, and I really appreciate everything you're doing for the industry.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot for having me here.
All right, guys, that is the Daily Exchange. We'll see you guys later. Yeah.